Hello, everyone. You are with the Michigan Urban Report, the show that discusses issues and concerns to you, the urban community in the state of Michigan. I am your host, Angela. We have with us today an esteemed and successful businessman. He has written a book called The Blue Suitcase. I would like to introduce to you Mr. Shri Thanedar, who is a candidate for the governor for the state of Michigan. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Angela. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, thank you for being here. It was so good speaking with you, having off-camera conversations, which are always good.
Yes.
Yes, they are. So tell us a little bit about who Shri Thanedar is.
Well, I am a scientist.
Okay.
And I'm also an immigrant.
Okay.
So I immigrated to the United States of America in 1979.
Oh, wow.
So almost 40 years ago.
Yes.
And I became a proud citizen of the United States in 1988.
Okay.
So I've been a citizen of US for 30 years. And I have been running small businesses, creating jobs.
Okay.
And I've created hundreds of jobs.
Okay.
So to give you a background, I grew up in India.
Okay.
When I was 14 years old, my father retired. So 6 girls, 2 boys, and my mom and dad.
Oh,
so
okay.
a big family.
Big family.
And when he retired, he didn't had much of income. And that, the family fell into poverty.
Okay.
And I worked as a janitor. I worked in different jobs to help my family and struggled through education.
Okay.
So education really was the ladder for me to come out of poverty.
Okay.
And today, that ladder is broken for too many Michiganders.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yes. So I came here and then got a PhD in chemistry.
Okay.
And so it's good to have scientists running for political office.
Okay.
Look, we have a president who doesn't understand science and things like climate change.
Yes.
And things like renewable energy, or why we must keep our Great Lakes clean and pure, and why we must never let Flint, Michigan disaster ever happen again in Michigan.
Okay.
So that's my background: a chemist, a scientist, and an entrepreneur, a small business owner.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for the jobs that you have created for those in Michigan, who can provide, the livelihoods, for their families.
Yes.
Now, I want to segue a little bit with regarding to the immigration, background, with the rhetoric that's going on from the White House with regarding, immigration. What are your thoughts and your feelings about that?
Well, one of the greatness of United States of America is open policy about immigration.
Okay.
We are a nation of immigrants, right? And that's one of the reasons why we are such a great country. Because people from all over the world come to us because we are the biggest democracy in the world. They come to us because this is a land of opportunities. This is where you come, you work hard, and you can be anything you want to be.
Okay.
And that is the American dream. But what we have seen lately is that American dream is fading. And that dream is fading all over America.
Okay.
And it's fading more so in Michigan than any other place.
So what do we need to do before we delve into some other conversations? Because you said it's fading. What is it that we need to do to turn it around so that it doesn't fade, but that it gets a lift up and it thrives?
Well, our focus needs to be in people. Our politics and our government has become so corrupt because it has so much money influence. Money coming from big billion-dollar donors like the DeVos family and the Koch brothers. We see a lot of big money in the politics.
Okay.
We also see a lot of corporate money.
Okay.
And we see
Corporate
a lot
dollars.
of dark money into the politics.
Okay.
And the politicians and the donors have now become interdependent.
Okay.
And because of that influence, now the politicians serve their true masters, which are the donors,
Okay.
not the people. And we need to bring the focus back on people, ordinary people.
Okay.
And we need to start putting people over the corporate profits.
Okay. All right. So, with your candidacy for Governor, Shri, Snyder's slogan was "Tough Nerd." Okay, and your background is a little bit similar to his in that you are a successful businessman. So, given what has been done to Michigan under the current, state of Michigan regime, could voters hold that against you in this election?
Well, they could. And let's make a difference here.
Okay.
Let's compare.
Okay.
Now, I grew up in poverty. I dealt with small businesses. I bought a 3-person business that did chemical analysis services.
Okay.
Like if somebody had soil in their backyard, they're working in their gardens and they get irritation, skin irritation.
Okay.
I'll analyze the soil. I'll look for the chemicals that are in there. And in the same town, there is a chemical factory.
Okay.
Now, this chemical factory has these tall stacks, and ash is flying out of that.
Okay.
And it's going all over the town. And the town peoples have complained to the company, but they won't listen to them. And so what I did was I analyzed the soil and I analyzed the ash that was flying out of the stacks in their factory. And I found it's the same chemicals.
Oh.
These were carcinogenic chemicals, these were irritants, and I wrote a report, and that helped the community deal with and fight with the corporation.
Okay.
So that's kind of a business that I started. So I bought this 3-person company, and I grew that to about 450 people.
Okay.
So look at me and Snyder. Snyder ran multi-billion-dollar companies. So it's a different type of mindset.
Okay.
He came to Michigan saying he wants to run this state like a business. Now that cannot be done. State is not a business because you are dealing with people's lives, people's emotions, as opposed to running a business where you all focus on the bottom line and profits.
Okay.
But you can't have that kind of motivation because you're dealing with mental illness, you're dealing with opioid crisis, you're dealing with people, 20% of the people that live below poverty line.
Okay.
If you look in the African American community, 40% of the children live under poverty line. And I grew up going to bed hungry. I grew up, with a lot of tough times. So I understand how difficult it is for families to put food on the table, take care of their children's education and health care. And so I come to this job more with the compassion and the love and wanting to help people.
Okay. Now that's good because you really kind of segued into my next question, which was going to be people have conversations, in different areas, family, whether they are out, at gatherings, and it was said and has been said, you can't run government like a business.
Yes.
But with two of the highest, positions, being the president as well as the governor, of a state, in particular the state of Michigan, they have been running the government like a business.
True.
And so we're seeing the effects of that. And the question would be, so why do you want to be governor of Michigan, given where we are now, what has been happening, and with your agenda, can you turn this imagery around and support?
Absolutely. People are tired of the career politicians.
Yeah.
The politicians come to us and they tell us what we want to hear. Then once they come to power, they go do this pay for play culture. where they're doing favors to their corporate donors. I want to break that cycle. Now, a business person like me who's run small businesses have certain skills. I know how to get good people. I know how to have a vision. Like when I started my business, I had a vision about where I want to go, what I want to accomplish. I have a similar vision for Michigan.
Okay.
And not one person alone cannot do this. So I need to have good people on my team who I need to empower so that they can do good for our state.
Okay.
And to do that, what I have learned is how to hire good people, how to look at a problem and find a good solution that will work. Now we have problems with education system. The charter schools have come and taken students away from our public schools, leaving behind the same infrastructure the schools need to pay for, but less resources.
Okay.
We have for-profit charter schools. You know, people like Betsy DeVos are profiting from our public school dollars. And I want to put an end to that.
Okay.
I want to make our public schools stronger.
Okay.
Because once our children get good education, they can have a better future.
Okay.
So that's kind of what my focus is. I want to bring universal pre-K so that, you know, I have a grandson. He is going to be 1 year old this month.
Okay.
And I understand that children in their early years, like 0 to 5, they grasp so much, they learn so much. And if we can stimulate them, if you can teach them, and they will become so much of a better students when they go to grade school.
Okay.
So I want to have that program where children really learn in their early years when they are really ready to absorb a lot of knowledge.
Right.
And it will also help the working parents, especially the single parents who are trying to take care of their children. So my focus is more on education.
Okay.
My focus is to pay the teachers well, hire enough teachers, put more money into our education system. Because look, we spend $9,000 per student, but we spend $40,000 per prisoner. The state of Michigan spends more than $2 billion on our prison system.
Yeah, we can get into a whole nother conversation about that with regarding, you know, to prison systems being slated as big businesses. But I gotta ask you a couple of more questions. Love talking with you. So how important is the American vote to your campaign, and do you have an urban agenda?
The urban vote is, I'm not going to take any community, any geography for granted. You know, I want to go earn everybody's vote.
Okay.
I want to go all over. I have been in small cities. I have been in large cities. I have traveled. I've been in various parts of Detroit. I've been in Lansing, Bay City, Saginaw, Muskegon, Upper Peninsulas, Houghton, Michigan, Marquette, Sault Ste. Marie, all over the place.
Okay.
And I intend to do that. In addition to that, I'm also running commercials. So some of my television commercials are appearing all over Michigan. Because, you know, I was running a small business, I was creating jobs. I'm not a politician. People do not know me. So it is important for them to understand the struggles that I have had. You know, I've been homeless, and I have slept in my cars as I was growing up.
So you're relatable.
Exactly.
You know, because you've experienced a lot of what the everyday, ordinary or common person has experienced.
Exactly.
And so then that makes you, you know, more empathetic to the plots, you know, of those who may be underserved in some communities and in some areas and unrepresented. So
absolutely.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. Shri Thanedar.
Thanedar.
Thanedar. All right, I got it. The Blue Suitcase. If you want to know more about his life, you know, pick up this book and learn about this successful man who is running for the state of Michigan governor. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks.
Appreciate you. Thank you for sticking with us with the Michigan Urban Report. I am your host, Angela. Stay tuned and stay connected.